Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In October 2025, Chinese customs officials at one of the country's busiest ports stumbled upon what would soon become a global scandal, setting off a chain of events that would ripple through international markets. 5 massive cargo ships, carrying a staggering 300,000 metric tons of soybeans, arrived with paperwork that appeared flawless. The documents claimed the beans were from Argentina, a trusted supplier, and, crucially, a source exempt from China's steep tariffs on American goods. Everything seemed routine at first glance, but as officials reviewed the shipping logs, a subtle irregularity in the vessel's routes caught their attention. An odd detour that didn't quite add up. In the tense climate of a US-China trade war, where every shipment was scrutinized, officials decided they couldn't afford to overlook even the smallest anomaly. The stakes were simply too high. Acting swiftly, customs agents collected samples from the ship's holds. These beans would undergo forensic analysis, a process that could reveal their true geographic origin through advanced scientific testing. The lab results were explosive. DNA analysis showed the soybeans' genetic markers matched those from the American Midwest, not Argentina. The evidence was irrefutable. The shipment was an elaborate ruse, American soybeans disguised as Argentine to dodge Chinese tariffs. The deception was sophisticated, involving forged documents and altered shipping records. The revelation led to the immediate blacklisting of a private grains trader, and within hours, news of the scandal sent shockwaves through the global agricultural market, rattling traders and investors worldwide. This incident exposed the desperate lengths traders would go to in order to survive the economic fallout of geopolitical conflict. It highlighted the immense pressure on businesses to adapt, sometimes crossing ethical and legal lines. It was a stark reminder that in the world of global trade, deception can travel as far and as fast as any cargo ship, and that vigilance is always required at every port of call. The soybean scandal marked a dramatic escalation in the ongoing trade dispute, serving as a cautionary tale for nations and businesses navigating the treacherous waters of international commerce. The root of this deception: tariffs. When governments impose tariffs, they don't just raise prices, they reshape entire global supply chains, forcing traders and companies to find creative, sometimes questionable ways to keep business flowing. The US-China trade war had made American soybeans prohibitively expensive for Chinese buyers, who turned to Brazil and Argentina instead. Suddenly, the world's largest soybean importer was locked out of the US market, and demand for South American beans skyrocketed. With China out of reach, US soybeans flooded the global market at a discount, while South American beans soared in value. This price gap created a tempting opportunity for anyone willing to bend the rules. A Chinese trading company saw an opportunity: buy cheap US soybeans, forge documents, and sell them as Argentine to avoid tariffs. It was a clever workaround, exploiting the chaos of the trade war. If successful, they'd pocket the price difference. High risk, high reward. The profits could be enormous, but so were the risks of getting caught and facing severe penalties. This wasn't about the beans themselves, but about navigating a market warped by political conflict. Every shipment became a gamble, every deal a test of nerve and ingenuity. The scheme was a direct response to the artificial price gap created by tariffs. It was a loophole born from policy, not from the natural flow of supply and demand. Traders tried to launder the beans' origin, hoping to slip them past customs. Each forged document was a bet that no one would look too closely. The mislabeling was a symptom of a global trading system under strain, where economic logic was upended by politics. The world's supply chains became a maze of workarounds and hidden risks. In this climate, even a humble bean became a pawn in a high-stakes game, where every move was shaped by forces far beyond the farm or the port. The unmasking of the soybeans was a triumph of science and vigilance. Chinese customs used DNA fingerprinting to analyze the beans, matching their genetic profile to a global database. The results were clear. These were US Midwest soybeans, not Argentine. Officials also used stable isotope analysis, examining chemical signatures shaped by local soil and climate. This chemical fingerprint is nearly impossible to fake. The combination of genetic and chemical forensics provided irrefutable evidence. Forged documents were no match for modern lab techniques. The incident proved that in today's trade wars, the real front line is in the laboratory. For would-be smugglers, the message was clear: science can see through your disguise. The soybean scandal set a new standard for customs enforcement worldwide. The soybean saga is just one chapter in the sprawling and complex US-China trade war, a conflict that has touched nearly every corner of the global economy. What began as a dispute over technology transfers and massive trade deficits soon escalated, spilling over into unexpected sectors, including agriculture, a backbone of the American economy. China, once the world's top buyer of US soybeans, retaliated by slapping a steep 25% tariff on American soybeans, directly targeting the livelihoods of farmers in the US heartland and sending shockwaves through rural communities. Suddenly, the humble soybean was thrust into the spotlight, transformed from a simple crop into a powerful symbol of economic warfare, vital for US farmers, and a strategic bargaining chip for China. With tariffs in place, China was forced to look elsewhere for its soybean needs, turning to countries like Brazil and Argentina, even if it meant paying higher prices and facing new logistical challenges. Meanwhile, US farmers and officials were left scrambling, realizing the risks of depending so heavily on a single massive customer for their exports. Decades of carefully built interdependence between the two nations were shattered almost overnight, leaving uncertainty and hardship in their wake. Both countries were forced to confront their vulnerabilities, rethinking not just their agricultural supply chains, but their entire approach to global trade and economic security. The soybean was no longer just a crop, it had become a pawn in a high-stakes global chess match, with each move watched by the world. The ripple effects of this trade war would reshape not only agriculture, but also the strategies and futures of farmers, traders, and nations for years to come. For American farmers, the trade war was personal. When China's market vanished, grain elevators overflowed and prices crashed. Farmers who'd planned for strong Chinese demand faced devastating losses. Government aid offered a lifeline, but it wasn't a solution. Farmers wanted trade, not handouts. The crisis hit hardest in the Midwest, where soybeans are king. Farmers scrambled to find new buyers from Southeast Asia to Europe and looked to boost domestic demand. But no market could replace China's sheer scale. The trade war forced a painful lesson: over-reliance on one customer is risky. Even as new deals emerged, trust was broken and uncertainty lingered. The scars of the trade war left farmers wary of future global shocks. For many, the stability they once knew was gone for good. As US soybeans lost access to China, South America seized the moment. Brazil and Argentina, free from tariffs, became China's top suppliers almost overnight. Brazilian farmers ramped up production, expanding acreage and exports to meet China's demand. The global soybean market split in two. South American beans for China, discounted US beans for everyone else. This bifurcated market created strange price gaps and new opportunities for arbitrage. China deepened ties with Brazil and Argentina, investing in infrastructure to secure future supplies. Even after partial US-China trade deals, South America kept its dominant position. Chinese buyers, burned once, were wary of relying on the US again. The trade war cemented Brazil's rise as a soybean superpower. The global landscape for soybeans was permanently changed. The soybean scandal is a warning for the future of global trade. Tariffs may serve political goals, but they distort markets and encourage illicit schemes. The crisis showed the danger of relying on a single customer or supplier. Diversification is now essential for both exporters and importers. Trust and transparency are the backbone of international commerce. Once broken, they're hard to rebuild. Scientific tools can catch fraud, but prevention is better than detection. The ripple effects of trade wars reach farmers, traders, and consumers worldwide. Long-term stability matters more than short-term wins. A fair, predictable global market is vital for food security and prosperity. The lesson is clear. In a connected world, everyone pays the price for broken trust.